Pronouns 2. In this lesson, we'll look at three major types of pronouns: indefinite, interrogative, and relative. We'll also look at three minor types of pronouns: intensive, reflexive, and reciprocal. Indefinite pronouns are a large group of pronouns that at first seem somewhat related. Their shared characteristic is that they tend to be somewhat vague in their reference. For instance, how do you define and limit somebody or most? As their name suggests, indefinite pronouns are less definite than the other pronouns. That's why indefinite pronouns don't always refer to specific persons or things. In fact, they may even be lacking a clear antecedent, as in, nobody knows but me, or everything is hunky-dory. In other cases, indefinite pronouns can be more specific, and what they refer to can be deciphered from context, as in, you ate all of the candies, or few people can juggle hand grenades. Everyone had a great time at the game. Who had a great time? Everyone had a great time. Sarah told someone the secret. Sarah told the secret to who? Sarah told the secret to someone. We will revisit a table like this later in the year when we practice subject-verb agreement. In short, some indefinite pronouns are always singular, some indefinite pronouns are always plural, and others will be singular or plural depending on the context. Another thing worth observing here is the number of ones, bodies, and things, and that they are always singular indefinite pronouns. Next up, interrogative pronouns. These are used when you're asking a question. Think interrogation. Who is picking you up from school today? To whom did you speak to last night? What do you want to eat for lunch? Interrogative pronouns often lack an antecedent, because the noun they refer to is found in the answer to the question. For example, who shot John F. Kennedy? Here's our interrogative pronoun. The answer is Lee Harvey Oswald. The pronoun whom is reserved for the object of a preposition or verb. To whom did you sell your old truck? Whom will Sally marry? Few people actually use whom in everyday conversation, and in less formal writing, who is sometimes acceptable. You can also add emphasis to your interrogative pronoun by adding ever at the end, like whoever. Next up, relative pronouns. They relate extra information, usually in the form of a relative clause. Who, whose, whom, that, which, just to name a few. So in these examples of relative pronouns, the word whom refers back to person. The word that refers back to car, and the word who refers back to the noun in front of it, Mr. Jones. And in each one of these cases, we're giving extra information about the person, about the car, or about Mr. Jones. Later, we'll talk about the difference between essential clauses, like the first two, and non-essential, like the last one, which can be surrounded by commas. In short, when these clauses narrow down the subject, they are essential. When they're just extra information, they're non-essential. Some more examples. The Tragically Hip, who went on their last tour in 2016, have long been an iconic Canadian band, who referring back to the Tragically Hip. I ran into Jenny, whom you dated in high school. Jupiter, which is the largest planet in our solar system, is still tiny compared to the sun. I love those socks that you wore yesterday. In each one of these cases, the relative pronoun is referring back to a noun in front of it. And it's either the beginning of a relative clause or even the subject of a relative clause that gives extra information about that noun. Intensive pronouns are used to emphasize a noun or a pronoun. You should notice they all end in self or selves. A reflexive pronoun is used with another noun or pronoun when something does something to itself, and again, these all end in self or selves too. So since we're looking at all the words that end in self or selves, they're very closely related. There's a subtle difference though. Reflexive pronouns come after the verb, and they reflect that action back on the subject, as in they bought themselves plenty of pizza, or I read to myself. Intensive pronouns come after the subject, and they emphasize that subject. If you took them out, the meaning wouldn't really change for intensive pronouns. That's not true for reflexive. The last type is a reciprocal pronoun, and these are two pronouns that work together and form a pair, and there's only two of them, each other or one another. They often help when the subject of the sentence is in the plural, such as in good friends take care of each other. In this example, the action is reciprocated or returned in kind.